Hey, everybody. Doing a little canal fishing today. Yes, sir, son. Let's see. Well, we got a beautiful canal right here. I got my little e-bike. Look at this water. Oh, man. Here we are in South Florida. And it's, this time of year, it's middle of the summertime, August, September. And there's afternoon thunderstorms. A lot of big, heavy rains are coming. Look at this canal. It's all flowing real good. Well, this is a canal behind my house. This is representative of a lot of the waterways in Florida, but there's not a lot of fish here. I'm going to show you what I recommend on how to catch fish in the summertime, particularly here in Florida, particularly when there's summer rains, particularly when there's water current like this. Hey, let's get started. Let's look at my e-bike, folks. This is really cool. Okay, my e-bike is all set up with a big battery. I can go 25 miles. I can go up and down all the canals here in Florida. You've probably seen me out there at headwaters, going up and down the levee there between Garcia headwaters and that Farm 13, and going down and catching all those fish at what we call the, I guess we call it the aquarium. I don't know what they call it, different thing. Okay, this bike, it's all set up for a long distance. Now, first of all, I got a bunch of sandwiches and drinks right here for the day. Hey, I got mosquito spray and sunscreen, and I use it liberally out here. Okay, get my cameraman a little bit. Get this going. Okay, that's a big deal. Thirdly, I got my frog togs, and you never know. Afternoon thunder showers are always a big deal. These frog togs are 100%, and I have plenty of lures as well. I got my topwater lures and my crankbaits. Then I have my worms and all this stuff, and I have my complement of lures. Now, first of all, the first thing I want to say is there's water movement today. That's a big deal. Water movement's a huge deal. So I'm going to take the number one water movement deal that I found here in South Florida, the number one way to catch them, and that is with a Carolina rig. I take a Carolina rig like this. It's set up with a 20-pound, 3-foot fluorocarbon leader. Big old worm. Oh, try different kind of worms. That's a pretty big worm there. And a 1 ounce weight. That's a 1 ounce weight right there. And it's on a swivel and 50-pound braid. My favorite 7.5 foot or 7 foot Pro Series rod, 50-pound line, favorite reel. Throw it out there. Okay, now you notice the cast was just a sling. I didn't overhand, I just slung it out there. The current's moving like crazy right now. I got my polarized glasses on. But the current's, if you notice down below, the spillway down there, look at all that water down there moving down there. If I were wanting to catch fish, I'd move to that spillway where that truck is. Okay, there's a big spillway. The water's going like crazy through here. That's where the fish concentrate. They concentrate on those, right below the spillway where all the water's flowing through. I'm above that. I catch a few fish here in the canal. I'm just showing you how I work a Carolina rig in the current. But I particularly look for a lot of water movement like this. If I can find these spillways, well, I can really catch them. Now I'm dragging some hydrilla or something or other. I don't know what I got. No, I didn't have a fish. But I drag. Here's the thing about a Carolina rig. You don't jerk it. You don't swim it. You drag it. You drag the weight on the bottom. You drag the weight on the bottom. I don't know what I got. I don't have a fish. It's grass. I got grass. Hey, that's a good sign. Hey, that's a good thing. Now, one of the problems we have here in Florida, they have a mandate trying to kill invasive species, and they're considering hydrilla an invasive species, which is a great species. It's the greatest thing. That's what Headwaters has. It's what Okeechobee had up to a couple of years ago. And it was just the greatest thing in the world for bass. But they're trying to kill it. I don't know. We're trying to get Governor DeSantis to get some other mandates in effect, but right now we wish we could keep this hydrilla. We don't need to spray anymore. Okay, again, I'm going to show you with this moving water. Come up to the spillways if you can find them. Look online and find out where the water is moving. There's about 100 structures in Florida like that one that has water movement. You get below it, and you throw your Carolina rigs up to it, and boy, I tell you what, you can catch some fish. Now again, I get out there, it's a gravel bottom, a few rocks. I just drag that worm. I just drag it. I keep it at a 45. Now I'm not ready to set the hook yet. I'm just dragging it. I'm just dragging it. You know, with the Carolina rig, you don't really have to set the hook real hard. You can kind of just reel into them, and for the most part, catch them that way. You don't have to just set the hook real hard. Just kind of reel into them. But anyway, that's the first consideration. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, in so many of these places around Florida that I fish, you know, all of the Everglades, the A1 areas, all the different retention areas. And the first thing I start off with in the morning, the first thing, because there's usually a lot of heavy covered weeds, the first thing is some type of a topwater. I'm going to show you two types of topwater. One is the worm. One is the devil's horse, and two is a frog. And these two things, now, if it's real weedy, let me explain. If it's a real weedy situation, and there's a lot of lily pads and heavy cover and moss and hydrilla, I'm going to use the frog. Frog I have set up on a 50-pound test braid. It's a 7-foot medium heavy action rod that I helped design for a favorite reel. And I don't have any heavy grass to throw right here, but I'm going to basically throw the frog into these areas. This is not representative of what I'm throwing. I throw the frog into heavy weed cover, but I work it slow and easy. I mean, I don't really just jerk it along. I work the frog kind of like that. A lot of times I'll scoot the frog across the hydrilla to scoot it across. When I hit the open water, that's when I work it slow and easy like that. And a lot of times these big 6 and 8 and 10 pound bass will suck it down just like a bluegill. They'll poof. Anyway, so that's the frog is what I use in the real heavy cover. And again, I got it set up. And I want to show you something about the frog that's important. And that is, I take a pair of pliers on this frog and I bend those hooks up just a little teeny bit. You notice, if you can see it against my shirt, there's a little gap. There's a little gap on there. But the gap is on there's a gap in between the hook and the top of the frog. It's about a 1/16 of an inch. It's just enough. That thing will just hook them. That thing is so sharp. That's a Gamakatsu special hook. And I mean, it really is sharp. Okay. Again, I'm not throwing it in open water so much, but I do throw it in open water some. This is a moving water situation. This isn't where I throw the frog. But if it were just calm water, I'm going to throw it into mainly the heavy cover, the edges of the hydrilla, the edges of the milfoil, the edges of the lily pad areas, and right up next to the standing reeds and bulrushes. So it's a target lure. I'm throwing it on target, okay? Okay, a second lure that I really like a lot is this devil's horse. And it's set up, in this case, I got a couple little different. It has a front spinner. So on the front spinner, I'll put 25-pound test fluorocarbon, and I have a little knot right here. And that keeps, what that does, it keeps that thing straight out, and the spinner, see how that spinner is? It doesn't, if you have braid, the braid will hang down and get caught around the spinner. But that 25-pound test fluorocarbon, see how it stays out? It never tangles. It never tangles with the line. It always stays straight. Okay, that's really a cool deal. And notice when I work it like this, and I'm just right here, see those blades are in the back? See, I don't work it fast. I just work it slow and easy. And so again, it's a target lure. I'm basically throwing this to the edge of the hydrilla. I'm throwing it to the edge of the lily pads, little shady spots, whatever I can find. And I usually start off all my day with the topwater early. That's usually a topwater bite. Here in Florida and all over across the country, I was in Oklahoma for years, the same thing. An early morning summer bite with a topwater plug. And this is just one topwater. Okay, now, a lot of people make the mistake. They'll throw their topwater out there and they do this kind of thing. They just work it fast like that. That's all right for schooling fish. And if they're schooling, which they're not, that'll work. But for the 99% of the time, they don't want it fast like that. 99% of the time, they want it slow, just little twitches like that. Okay, it's drifting in the currents. It's not really representative of what I'm talking about. but just little bitty twitches, or just a little bitty movement like that. You notice the blade, the sun's catching the blade. If you could see the blade right in action, you can, oh, I should get it a little closer. Can you see the blade? The sun catches that blade. It's hard to see, but anyway. It has the outline, it has the shape. When they look up at it, it kind of looks like some kind of a minnow. And I guess the sun reflecting on those little spinners, it's a big deal. But anyway, I've caught a lot of really big fish. I've caught double-digit fish on this lure. Now let's go back to my tricycle for a second. I want to show you something. Back here, I have a bunch of other lures that I use for topwater fishing. One of the complements that I have that's really, really good that I'll use an awful lot. It's a Spro Pop 80. And it's just a chugger kind of thing, but again, I'm working it slow. All these topwater plugs that I'm going to talk about today, particularly in the summertime when I'm fishing targets, I'm fishing the shady little spots and edges of grass, I'm usually using a slow plug. Okay, that's one. Now, I don't always fish, I just want to sometimes just fish open hydrilla flats, and I want to cover a lot of water at the topwater. That's when a Zero Spook comes into effect. You can throw across big grass flats. You can work it fast. You can kind of go along quickly with your trolling motor and just kind of try to find the fish. But this isn't a lure to throw at targets. This is not a target lure. This isn't something to throw under by the shade of a bush. This isn't something to throw on the edge of a hydrilla patch. This is an open water, say, submerged grass lure. Again, good for schooling fish. Now, also want to talk about something else. Here in the current, you can't beat a rattle trap. A rattle trap. And there's another lure here that I want to show you that I designed and developed. It's called the Aruka Shad. And the Aruka Shad is like a rattle trap, but it's better. Yeah, I designed it. I designed this Aruka Shad for Spro. And that's a Spro Gold. I mean, now this lure right here has been a favorite for all Florida, and it's a gold looking half-ounce rattle trap. This is a Spro Aruka Shad, and it's my Roland Martin design, and it's a killer. I'm telling you, it's a little heavier, it casts a little farther, it runs a little deeper, it catches them. Listen, it's got a rattle. Son, and that will really catch them good. Okay, let's put this box away, and let's talk about the #1 lure for fishing in the summertime in Florida, and that's a plastic worm. You can't beat a plastic worm. I don't care if it's where you are, Connecticut or California, you got to be able to catch fish in the summertime on a plastic worm. This happens to be a canal, it could be a farm pond, it could be a river, I don't care where you are. If there are largemouth bass or smallmouth bass, they will hit a plastic worm in the summertime. Let me just show you my basic complement. First of all, I'm running a little bitty 1/8 of an ounce. You notice that's a little 1/16 of an ounce lead weight on the top of that worm. I'm running a 4/0 EWG hook by Gamakatsu, and that happens to be a little trick worm. But a Cinco type of worm or a trick worm from Bass Pro, that all those worms would work. Any kind of worm that happens to be a little 7-inch trick worm. But that's on, I'm running it on, in this case, 15-pound braid. And I have it on a favorite rod and reel. It's a little 7-foot medium action rod, a little stick series, and on a little reel. It's a 2500 series reel. And I adjust the drag pretty good. The thing about braid is you can feel so well. I can feel every little twitch on the bottom. So when I throw it out there, I don't care where I'm throwing it. I throw it in the canal right now, which is not where I'd normally fish, but I throw it to the edge of stuff. But still, I'm watching the line. I'm getting the thing into gear, and I'm watching the line. And I can feel the line is so sensitive. And it's just, notice I'm holding my rod at a 45-degree angle. Now here's the basic ABCs of worm fishing. Is I work the worm on the bottom with the rod tip from a 45 to a 90, because I have the most feel. I can feel the bottom. I can feel it come across the log. I can feel it come across the grass at that level. If I have it down like this, I can't feel it as good, and the fish can feel me. Now, as soon as I get a strike and I'm up in this up high rod position, I'm not ready to set the hook. This isn't a hook setting position. This is a bottom feeling position. This is where I retrieve it from 45 to 90 degrees. I don't set the hook now. When I get the hook And the bite, here's the thing, I like to go within 3 seconds. In the summertime, the fish swallow the worm so quickly. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. You have to have the hook set or they're going to swallow it. You're going to gut hook a lot of fish. Now I can deal with that. I can deal with the gut hook fish. I've got pliers and I can get the fish, the hook out. But a lot of you can't. It's not a good situation. Okay, so I'm easing the worm along. Say I get a strike. 1 second, 2 seconds, I get it down. I'll get the rod straight. And at 3 seconds, I get the rod kind of into my stomach. I'm setting the hook. And with braid, you get the job done. You can go with a lighter action rod and actually a lighter tackle in general with braid because it's easier to set the hook. So that's a big, big deal. Worm fishing is so, so cool. Another thing I do with the worm is I pitch it a lot. I just take it and open the bail like this and just pitch it in little places like that right there. See how accurate that is? Pitch it in there, put the bail over it. Now just, again, hold the rod up, feel for that strike. Hold the rod up, feel for that strike. Nothing there. Now way down there, there's some lily pads. I don't know if I can get down there to them. Okay, folks, there's a nice log laying right here, and there could be a bass underneath it. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to pitch it right in here, like that, on the up current side. Let it sink down to the log. It's right down there on the bottom. Just kind of ease down. I didn't bite it. Huh. That would be a good spot, though. That would be, again, try the other side. Just going to ease by it, just kind of come right through there, let it sink down, pull it up. That little bit of weight is just perfect. But anyway, that's my compliment for summertime fishing. But again, looking for that moving water is just a really, really big deal. Looking for these spillways here, and any place that you find moving water is a big deal. The eddies and back currents are all something to do in the rivers. When you come down and you see a big log sticking out, that's always a good target. But particularly the eddy that's created from the current, the seams of the eddy, that's where you want to throw your lures. Anyway, folks, I hope I've taught you a little bit about what I look for in the summertime, particularly when you have moving water, particularly when you have a lot of rain and wind and conditions. Let's see, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, folks, that's a little bit about what I do in the summertime here in Florida. I'm looking for that moving water if I can find it, that current if I can find it. And of course, I have the worm, the topwater, and the frogs to work with. And I catch plenty of fish in the summertime. With that electric bike, hey, son, I can fish all over the place. I don't need a boat. We'll see you again soon, and thanks for watching.